Aliens have invaded my house. Have you ever been sitting around the dinner table, looking around the table and going, who are these people sitting around my table? These teenagers? So today I'm talking to parents, and in this video, I'm talking about motivation from specifically two temperaments of your teenagers, the blue temperament and the gold temperament. And if you're interested in the green or the orange temperament, then stick around for part 2 in our next video. Any of you have teenagers, worked with teenagers, had difficult teenagers in your life that you just didn't know what to do or how to deal with them? Today we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about not why they're difficult, but what you can do to help you help them to begin to be more motivated in their lives and not be as difficult. But the reality is that we don't really know why they're difficult. It just might be that they're just different than us, and thus we determine that they're being difficult. So as we begin to understand them better, today we're going to talk about what motivates them, the values that they operate from, that maybe you'll have a little bit better understanding of those teenagers in your life, that then you can help them to grow and progress as you grow and progress. And together we'll have much better relationships as compared to just seeing, I got one of those difficult teenagers that's ruining my life. So to help us in our conversation today, we're going to use a resource that it's been a great resource for me. It's a workbook. A lot of times we get books and say, that's a good read. It's not a book that I read, it's a book that I go to as a workbook. Today, as we talk about teenagers and we talk about motivation in particular, I want to reference a few things in here that help me to help you to understand what really motivates each of these different temperaments. So as we talk about blues and the motivation of blues, there's many things we can talk about. The book references about 6 or 7 of those kind of things. But last night, as I was sitting there preparing for this, it was interesting. My granddaughter came up and she wanted to help me prepare. So I let her pick as a blue. I said, if you wanted to hear me talk about what are the key things to motivate blues in particular, what would you pick? So these are 3 that she picked. So these are for Kensley. So the first thing she picked was acknowledge their significance. So what's interesting about the blue temperament is that they love people, they love the world, they love everything around them, and they just give all that they can give. And when you're not acknowledging that, it makes it more difficult over time for them to just continue to be happy in that space. If they don't feel like they're really making a difference, then it makes them feel like they're not being effective in their life. So one of the key motivating factors is, if you're really interested, if you've got a difficult teenager that might be operating from this blue temperament, one of the things you can do immediately to build that relationship and to begin to start working better with them is just to acknowledge them, acknowledge who they are, acknowledge the great things that they're doing for the family, the great things they're doing for their brothers and sisters. And as you do that, the motivation, they become more motivated to do and to act and behave in better ways. And so that's one of the key things you can do, is just acknowledge who they are and what they do. For you that just sat through that last conversation about the blues, you might be struggling a little bit with that. And that's okay, because the reality is that's just what motivates them, not you. We'll get to you in a minute. So a second item that you could do to help motivate the blues is to encourage their creativity. They love doing things, making things, being involved in things. They love cooking and not cleaning, never mind, forget that one. Although they do enjoy cleaning if they're cleaning with someone, that's probably not one of the ways you're really going to motivate them. But some of the things you can do is really appreciate their creativity. What that looks like is you just got to let them make messes and let them build things and let them try things. They really enjoy that, and it's something that's really important to them in their lives. Might be a little frustrating for you if you happen to be one of these other temperaments that like things in order and structure, or you just don't want the mess around. And one of the ways you can really, really motivate a blue is to appreciate them. And not just appreciate them, but appreciate their creativity. And the last thing that I'll share with you about the blue, about being able to help them and to really motivate them, is to reward them, but reward them sincerely. A lot of times you'd be, oh, good job, great job, oh, we love what you did. They know whether you're sincere or not. So it's the sincere appreciation that you can give them of whatever they've done, whoever they've helped, that as you appreciate them and sincerely appreciate them, that relationship builds. And now when you have those difficult moments, those challenging moments where you say, that's a difficult teenager, you now have built a relationship because you've been able to appreciate them and help them to understand how much that they are important to you, that relationship then help you get through those difficult moments. So now let's talk about the golds. Now for the golds that are out there, I'm going to read to you from the book exactly what's important to understand about the golds. Number 1, put them in charge. Number 2, praise their judgment. And the third thing we're going to talk about is let them organize things. So when we talk about putting them in charge, you imagine taking a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old, a teenager now, right? Are you going to put a teenager in charge of, especially a difficult teenager, put them in charge of something? Well, if you want to motivate them, the answer would be yes. Because that's what they feel appreciated by, being able to say, you know what, we're getting ready to have this family activity this weekend, and we want you to plan it. That says, you value me for who I am. And by putting me in charge and letting me run it, that's amazing. Now our relationship gets strengthened and we work better together. What's really interesting in a family, let's say there's multiple golds in a family. Doesn't work really well if everybody's trying to be in charge. And if you happen to be a gold parent, it makes it really difficult. Because if you're a gold child and you got a gold parent, the gold child is sitting there, their teenager is sitting there saying, I can do this, I can organize this, I can run this, but they don't get the opportunity because for whatever reason, a gold parent thinks that they have to be in charge. So the best way to deal with putting somebody in charge is to identify areas of responsibility. You don't have to put them in charge of everything, but what you do put them in charge of, let them be in charge of it. And as you do that, again, that's going to make all the difference in the world for them. That you don't put them in charge of it and then start managing how they're doing it, that's not putting them in charge of it. And they won't respond well to that. In fact, what they'll probably say is that'll be one of those difficult teenager moments like, well, if you're going to tell me how to do it, then just do it yourself. So that said, put them in charge of something that you can have them do, and then let them do it. And then, as we learn, praise their judgment. And through this whole process, you're going to develop and strengthen those relationships so those difficult moments become fewer and fewer, and the great moments become more and more. Second thing you can do as a gold, or to work with a gold teenager, is to praise their judgment. Now, how hard is that going to be, right? We've got this conflict going on. I've got this teenager that I just don't have this relationship with, and now you want me to praise their judgment? And the answer is absolutely. Because you want to develop that relationship. How are you going to help them? How does that difficult teenager become undifficult? Develop the relationship. How do you develop the relationship? Start doing things that they value. So praise their judgment. Don't make it up, because they'll know again. They're not stupid. So when you praise their judgment, say, you know what, when you made that decision to do that, that was an amazing decision. Do you see the great results you got from that? So praise their judgment in the things that you see them doing. That will help them realize that you actually recognize them and what's really important to them in their life. So as a parent, I've turned to this resource many times to help me through those difficult times working with my teenagers, and I'd like to offer you a free copy of this book that can help you on your journey in dealing with your difficult teenagers, if you have them, or just helping you with those wonderful teenagers if you want to have a better relationship with them. I love this book. I want to share it with you. Click below, get your book today. Free book. So we just finished part 1. Hopefully you gained some insights. Stick around for part 2. We're excited to share with you how to really work with the green and the orange temperament.